Okay, all right, we're going to watch this.
Stated that you will release the files, all of the files, as it relates to the JFK assassination. The moment you walked back in this office.
I was given
4 long years, President Donald Trump is back where he belongs. He is in the Oval Office. Earlier, the president, he did welcome us into the White House for an exclusive first interview in front of the Resolute desk. Mr. President.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about the moment you walked back in this office, this desk, this room, your carpet. How'd you feel?
Well, it was a lot of work. And as you know, I felt that we shouldn't have had to necessarily be here. Could have been done, a lot of work. Could have been, it would have been over. We wouldn't have inflation. We wouldn't have had the Afghanistan disaster. Wouldn't have October 7th with Israel, where so many people were killed. And you wouldn't have a Ukraine war going on. But with all that being said, I think it's bigger. It's bigger than if it were more traditional.
Only the second time in history.
Yeah.
I do think that it's more substantial that him winning, like if he had won in 2020, it wouldn't have been as big of a deal as him coming back and winning again in 2024. I feel like obviously that was like a huge game changer, massive.
But he didn't have consecutive terms.
You know, he did win.
Well, they say it's historically bigger. I don't know about that. But I can say it showed us a couple of things. It showed us that the radical left, their philosophies and policies are horrible. They don't work. You look at crime, you look at what's gone on at the border, you look at what's going to happen to crime. I mean, the crime that's going to happen. But
yeah, I think as soon as they start showing that there's like these people that are illegal immigrants that have committed, like, again, like that guy got arrested 17 times. How does something like that happen? And so, yeah, absolutely. Because like as soon as you make that, as soon as you make like the public aware of that, they're going to lose their fucking minds.
I think we got there just in the nick of time, but we still have you covered better than anybody. We have terrorists in our country by the thousands. We have murderers in our country by the tens of thousands. We have numbers that came out, 11,000 people that murdered are now free and walking around in our country.
Got to get them.
Of them, I think 48%, they say, killed more than one person, and they're walking around. They came out of jails from other countries. And, you know, people, they've emptied their jails. I would, if I were the president or prime minister or something of another country, I'd empty my jails right into America, into the United States. Why not? And many of them did it. If you look at Venezuela, their crime rate is down now 78%. Because they took their street gangs and they moved them into the United States. And you're seeing that in Colorado and Los Angeles and other places. And we're going to take care of it.
So did Biden really say to you when you came up to the front of the White House, welcome home?
No, did somebody say that?
I read it somewhere.
I don't know. Maybe he did. I really don't know.
So you left him a letter. It was funny with Peter Doocy, and Peter said, oh, Mr. President, did Joe Biden leave you a letter? He did leave you a letter.
He did.
And you had left him one, but you've never disclosed either one of them.
Well, a lot of people
now would be a great time.
You know, it was interesting. A lot of people thought it was sort of like a setup with Peter Doocy and myself, and I have a lot of respect for Peter. But he just asked me a question about the letter. And then I remember that, you know, it's like a custom. You leave it right in the drawer of that beautiful desk right alongside of us. And so I opened it up, and I actually gave the letter to Peter.
And did he got to read it?
I guess. I haven't.
You don't know.
The content president.
Before we get into this, so much substance. You are inheriting a lot of problems, a lot of things that actually scare me, and I want to get to all of that. But I will get to all of that. They're
all solvable problems.
I agree.
They're all solvable.
Not easy.
With time, effort, money, unfortunately, but they're all solvable problems. We can get our country back. But if we didn't win this race, I really believe our country would have been lost forever.
Were there moments, I mean, when you think of what they threw at you, and I know you signed this declaration about no more weaponization.
Yeah.
And we know that the preemptive pardons came up on Joe's way out.
I do feel like if Trump had lost, it would have been a massive, like, it would have been kind of like the COVID era level of like censorship and like tone policing and like speech control. I think it would have become the norm.
We're facing a civil trial, a criminal trial, conviction, sentencing, Jack Smith, D.C., Florida, Fonnie Willis. I mean, you fought through all of that to get back right here in this office. What people don't know is over there's a little red button you push. You scare people. People think it's the nuclear button, but it's really, you know,
something else.
It's you use it for a different purpose. But the question I have, it was, at any point, did you doubt you would be back here?
So it's a great question. It's something I don't think about. I never really thought about it. I don't think about, gee, will I be back? I just do it. I get it done. I get things done. I'm good at getting things done, and I set my mind to it. As you know, we had a great election in 2016. I had a much better election. I had a much better election in 2020. And if I didn't have that
you
election,
can only do 2 terms. That's what it says.
Thought that I didn't get the number of votes, and it was reported that I got almost 75 million votes, and that was their numbers. That wasn't the numbers. That was their numbers. Right. That was more than anybody has gotten in history, any sitting president had ever gotten. And you lost. Had I gotten like 50 million, or 40 million, or 60 million, I would never have run. But that was like a poll. So, but I had a different attitude. Too big to rig.
Poll came out just in the last 24 hours by Insider Advantage. That's Matt Towery. He nailed 2016, 2020, and 2024. Great pollster, as you know.
Right.
And he gave you a 56% approval rating. He also said of Congress, and I had a town hall with members.
People like winners, right? And at the end of the day, I think that people that don't like Trump can at least respect the fact that he came into office and he did a lot of the things that he said he was going to do. And I think that people like, so this is going to be like, this is a philosophy thing. But I think that at the pinnacle, power and virtue are the same thing. And so, and the best example of that is God, right? I mean, look at Old Testament God. Kind of an asshole, right? But he's God and you worship him. And so I think the closer that you can get to having absolute power and being able to execute that power, the more that you'll have people that will implicitly trust you and implicitly support you.
And especially as it relates to the border and some other issues. But you're going to need to do some of these things legislatively. You will probably play the largest role in uniting them both in the House and Senate. Reconciliation, the Senate has very strict, rules governing how they can do it. Do you, one big beautiful bill, 2 bills, do you care at this point?
I don't care as long as we get to the final answer. I like the concept of the one bill. I guess I said one big beautiful, and that's what everyone faces. Actually, it's sort of a nice
I could assume that he said that,
But I do like that concept. It could be something else. It could be a smaller bill and a big bill. Right. But as long as we get to the right answer. Now, I will say that Los Angeles has changed everything.
That's pragmatic,
because a lot of money is going to be necessary for Los Angeles, and a lot of people on the other side want that to happen. And
North Carolina, too.
Fast. Well, they don't care about North Carolina. The Democrats don't care about North Carolina. What they've done with FEMA is so bad. FEMA is a whole other discussion because all it does is complicate everything. FEMA has not done their job for the last 4 years. I had FEMA working really well. We had hurricanes in Florida. We had Alabama tornadoes. But unless you have certain types of leadership, it gets in the way. And FEMA is going to be a whole big discussion very shortly because
I think it's kind of crazy for me to see how much some things were being mismanaged. Like, because, I mean, even as somebody who's, like, generally distrustful of, like, government and stuff, it was shocking for me to see how much things were just totally fucked.
See the states take care of their own problems. If they have a tornado someplace, and if they let that state. Oklahoma is very competent. I love Oklahoma. 77 out of 77 districts. And that's never been done before. I did it 3 times. I mean, think of it. 3 times. Never been done. Ronald Reagan had the record, 56 56 out of 77. I got 77 out of 77. So you have to love a place like that. I love Oklahoma. But you know what? If they get hit with a tornado or something, let Oklahoma fix it. You don't need. And then the federal government can help them out with the money. The FEMA is getting in the way of everything. And the Democrats actually use FEMA not to help North Carolina.
It makes no sense.
So I'm stopping on Friday. I'm stopping in North Carolina, first stop, because those people were treated very badly by Democrats. And I'm stopping there. We're going to get that thing straightened out because they're still suffering from a hurricane from months ago. And then I'm going to...
Yeah, I remember seeing the photos of that, and people's houses were floating around. All kinds of crazy shit was happening. Yeah, it was a shock to see it happen. It really was. Like, I was amazed.
Then I'm going to go to California.
Will you meet with Gavin?
I don't know. I haven't even thought about
750.
it. Look, Gavin's got one thing he can do. He can release the water that comes from the north. There is massive amounts of water, rainwater and mountain water that comes due with the snow, comes down as it melts. There's so much water, they're releasing it into the Pacific Ocean. And I told him, it's a political thing for the Democrats. I don't know.
I played the tape. You said it to him in front of him in 2018.
I said it to him in front of the media and everything else, and nobody talks about it. The media never picks it up. You put it out. I was so happy.
The thing about this is that, like, I almost don't even believe Trump with this because it seems like how could it possibly be that simple? How could they possibly be fucking up on that level? And so, like, I don't really entirely believe that because it's just so ridiculous. It's impossible to believe.
See that tape because some people said, "Is that possible?" They have water coming down from the Pacific Northwest, which has a lot of water. So much water that they'd have to let some of it go at some point. They don't need reservoirs. They don't need anything. They're spending all this money on these reservoirs, and they're fake reservoirs. You know, the
reservoirs were empty. The hydrants didn't work, and they're not practicing the science of forestry, which is...
The sprinklers didn't work in the homes because they had no water. Think of it. We have sprinklers. Think of it with no water. They didn't have any water. The fire hydrants, believe it, hard to believe. The place has sprinklers. It's nice. But you don't want to lose this office. By the way, how do you like it?
Well, I'm glad. It's great to be back. I'm not going to lie.
You know, I've had the biggest people in the world come here, and they come into the Oval Office, and they just look, and they want time to look. They're looking around. George Washington, Honest Abe, and I think one thing is happening is people are learning that they can't govern and that their policies are terrible. I mean, they don't want to see a woman get pummeled by a man in a boxing ring.
No.
They don't want to see men in women's sports, in other words. They don't want to see them, and they don't want to have transgender for everyone. They don't want a child leave home as a boy and come back 2 days later as a girl, a parent.
The funny thing is that, like, I don't really think that happens. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But I feel like the amount of fatigue that people have from it does. I mean, again, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I want to see some links to this. Okay, you want me to believe that? We gotta see some links to this. And anyway, I think that people are so fatigued from what they view as like kind of overrepresentation and not being able to criticize like trans or LGBT stuff, etc., that people will buy into this. And I don't even think that anybody questions it. I don't think they question it at all. Because they're just so sick of it that they'll just go along with it, even if part of it isn't even really true.
Now, maybe that's because I went on TikTok. I don't know. But I'm starting to have a very warm spot.
TikTok is going to be sold, right?
I think TikTok's going to be sold.
People like
I'll tell you, people want to buy it.
Elon fudged the numbers.
But those that say they know say it's a spying app for the communist Chinese.
Yeah. But you can say that about everything made in China. Look, we have our telephones made in China for the most part. We have so many things made in China. So why don't they mention that? You know,
Let me get to
the
some
interesting
issues.
thing with TikTok, though, is you're dealing with a lot of young people. So
they love it.
Is it that important for China to be spying on young people, on young kids watching crazy videos and things?
I don't want China spying on anybody.
No, but they make you telephones and they make your computers and they make a lot of other things. Isn't that?
Thank you. Fucking thank you. How is it that TikTok is this unique evil, but China is involved with our economy in 50 other ways, and we're not talking about it? This is another example of common sense. China's so bad, okay, I forgot TikTok is the only thing that China makes.
But here's the thing I ask.
Jesus.
Why would somebody say that open borders are good, where jails and mental institutions from other countries and gang members right off the streets of the toughest cities in the world are being brought to the United States of America and emptied out into our country? Why would anybody that even likes, you don't have to love our country, you have to like it. Why would anybody that likes our country, the Democrats, allow that to happen? And even now, I watch them on television, they're trying to justify it. You can't justify it. The only reason...
Did you think exactly the way your parents were thinking? There's a lot of people that were surprised by me saying this, and I think that they're confused. I find it to be kind of shocking that so many people view this as contentious. Yes, obviously importing a huge group of people would probably make a large percentage of those people have some degree of allegiance to you if they feel like the importation of their family was a positive. And so if you're playing the long-term game, you could do that and then hope that on averages that those people turn out in your favor. I feel like this is a very logical approach to have.
Can be, it's two reasons. You're stupid, and I don't think they're stupid. I think anybody that cheats that much and that well is not stupid. You're either stupid or you hate the country. Those are the only two reasons. Sean, who would ask for open borders with people pouring in, some of whom, I won't get into it, but you can look at them and you can say, could be trouble, could be trouble. There are people coming in.
There are people with gang tattoos on.
There are people coming in with tattoos all over their face. Their entire face is covered with tattoos.
That identifies
Typically, you know he's not going to be the head of the local bank.
I mean, I've been to a few banks. I haven't seen a single one. Yep, there you go. And holy shit. And I ain't wrong? No, not really. And as I said, I think that anybody with face tattoos, I assume that they are not good decision makers. I'm not saying that they're all dumb, but I'm saying that I will start with the expectation that they are not good at making decisions. And anyway, I think that obviously, like, we'll probably see a lot more of these random interviews and stuff like this. And I feel like it's kind of, it's actually crazy the amount of content that we're getting out of this. I did not expect this at all. Like, I expected it to be a lot, but this is crazy.